Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Naram Chaiva Narottamam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jayamudiriye.
Tato Jayamudiraye.
Rastaprayeshu Vapadareshu.
Rastaprayeshu Vapadareshu.
Nityam Bhavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, today is the 2 days prior, 3 days prior to? Huh? Radharani. So I thought we could discuss Radharani a little bit today. So we'll read from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 30th chapter and the 28th verse. We know famously that Srimati Radharani is not directly spoken about in all of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yet she is in essence the central figure, particularly of the 10th chapter, 10th canto. So, and our acharyas explain that Shukadev Goswami knew that if he began to speak about the glories of Srimati Radharani, he would go into such ecstasy, and the conversation between him and Parikshit Maharaj would become sidetracked positively, of course, but for the benefit of all of us, Srimad Bhagavatam would not get completed because her position in devotional service is so sublime and sweet and perfect that it brings about a very ecstatic mood. So he tried very hard to cover up her, but in this verse he could not help but speak about Srimati Radharani. So again, this is the 10th canto, 30th chapter, 28th verse, and the chapter title is The Gopis Search for Krishna. And the very famous verse you all might know, this verse, Anayadadito nunam Bhagavan Harishvara Yano Vihaya Govinda Pito Yam Anaya Laha. Translation and purport: by His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Certainly this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. Purport. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains that the word Araditaha refers to Srimati Radharani. He comments, quote, the sage Shukadev Goswami has tried with all endeavor to keep her name hidden, but now it automatically shines forth from the moon of his mouth. That he has spoken her name is indeed her mercy, and that thus the word Araditaha is like the rumbling of a kettle drum sounded to announce her great good fortune. End quote. Although the gopis spoke as if jealous of Srimati Rani, they were actually ecstatic to see that she had captured Sri Krishna. So Vishnu Chakravarti quotes the following description of Srimati Radharani's footprints as given by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Sri Ujjvala Nilamani. At the base of the large toe of her left foot is the mark of a barley corn. Below that mark is a disc. Below the disc is an umbrella. Below the umbrella is a bracelet. A vertical line extends from the middle of her foot to the juncture of her large and second toes. At the base of the middle toe is a lotus. Below that is a flag with a banner. And below the flag is a creeper, together with a flower. At the base of her small toe is an elephant goad, and upon her heel is a half moon. Thus there are 11 marks on her left foot. At the base of the large toe of her right foot is a conch shell, and below that a spear. And below, at the base of the small toe of her right foot is a sacrificial altar. Below that an earring, and below the earring a spear. Along the base of the second, third, fourth, and small toes is the mark of a mountain, below which is a chariot, and on the heel is a fish. Thus altogether there are 19 distinguishing marks on the soles of Srimati Radharani's feet, lotus feet. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manotishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Darati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyayavcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo 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 Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschasya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. Hare Krishna. So, we're excited to be celebrating Radharani coming up on Monday. The topic of Srimati Radharani is a very difficult topic to speak about. Our acharyas warn that in order to really discuss the glorious position, one must be very, very qualified and careful. Srila Prabhupada gave the example. If you want to approach the sun planet, if you don't have a body that is suitable to withstand that heat, you'll be burned to ashes. Similarly, if one doesn't have extreme purity in the heart, this topic can become very challenging. But we know that Srimati Radharani is so important in our process of devotional service. So what to do? Well, thankfully, our acharyas, starting with Srila Prabhupada, Srila Rupa Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, of course Shukadev Goswami here, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, they have given us so much information and written extensively about the glories of Srimati Radharani and her mood of bhakti, that by simply hearing what they have had to say, we can hear very nicely and also conclusively and appreciate the great importance of Srimati Radharani in our devotional life. So, three things we'll discuss today. The first, who is Srimati Radharani? Then we'll discuss what is her role in our devotional service. So what is, with our bhakti, what is her role? And then three, what can we learn about her mood of service? And how can we bring that into our own service? So we'll discuss those three things. So who is Srimati Radharani? So Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the 5th verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the invocation, he explains who is Srimati Radharani. And this is very, very important because this idea of Radha Krishna is broadly very much misunderstood. And people try to apply their mundane logic in understanding to the relationship between Radha and Krishna. And thus one will become completely bewildered. So we must again hear from our acharyas. And so we know that this Radha and Krishna, this is not like our ordinary boy and girl. Actually, they are one manifested in two. That is what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami very clearly explains. That they are one manifested in two. So immediately, all sense of whatever we might try to understand about their relationship, we have to understand it is a relationship amongst themselves. So Krishna, we know, is the source of everything. And so who is Srimati Radharani? Of all his unlimited energies, one of his energies, one of his potencies is his pleasure potency, his happiness, his Haladini Shakti. And so Srimati Radharani is the personification of that pleasure potency. What does that mean? It means that when Krishna wanted to enjoy, he wants to enjoy with someone. So immediately, his pleasure potency became personified. And that is Srimati Radharani. And that person, the Shakti, the energy of Krishna, Srimati Radharani, has only one function. And what is that function?
Please Krishna.
To please Krishna. To give Krishna happiness. Because she is Krishna's pleasure potency. So she gives Krishna pleasure by rendering service. Right? So this is Srimati Radharani. So immediately we can take away all of our understandings of, again, boy, girl, married relationship. That it doesn't hold in this understanding of Srimati. So this is the position of Srimati Radharani. She is Krishna's pleasure potency. And in fact, Srimati Radharani was created for the purpose of Krishna's pleasure. Guess what? Why were we created? Why did Krishna go through the effort to create the living entities? One may wonder.
For his pleasure.
Same purpose, for his pleasure.
Company.
We were made, brace your ego, we were made to be enjoyed by Krishna. That is actually our core existence and purpose. But due to false ego, we don't understand. And so what actually happens then? We suffer. The more we try to enjoy on our own, the more we suffer. The more we try to enjoy with Krishna, the more we actually enjoy. But due to the false ego. So how many of us would like to break our false ego? And that, along with a whole long list of other things that preclude us from realizing this single fact. We are made to be enjoyed by Krishna. This is where Srimati Radharani comes into play. So the position of Srimati Radharani is very clear. Right? So what is her role in devotional service? Well, we can understand it by many ways. But this simplest and most direct way we can understand is that to please Krishna is not so easy. If Krishna was to walk through these doors, would we know how to serve him? Would we know what to do? We would have no idea. So if we want to serve somebody like Krishna, how do we find out? How would we learn? Talk to somebody who knows how to please him. Right? So we would go to somebody who knows how to please him. So if we have 3 people who know how to please Krishna, and one pleases Krishna this much, one this much, and one that much, who will go ask?
That much more.
Whoever has the highest. Whoever can please Krishna most. We would go and ask that person how to serve Krishna. Okay? So who is that person? Srimati Radharani. So Srimati Radharani actually is the only instrument, or the only conduit by which we can actually render service to Krishna. Because she knows what gives Krishna the highest pleasure. How much happiness she gives to Krishna? It's so extremely inconceivable that even Krishna himself cannot understand how she can give him so much happiness. And thus he appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to simply taste the sweet position of Srimati Radharani, to experience her position. Listen to Supreme Lord. So her ability to please Krishna is so extraordinary that even Krishna himself cannot comprehend it. And so the aspiring devotee, if they are rightfully guided by the acharyas, knows that you go and you learn from Srimati Radharani how to serve Krishna. Then you'll serve. Another reason we know that if Krishna's, one of his names is Bhakta Vatsala, he is very pleased when his devotee is pleased. He's the caretaker of his devotees. So, if Srimati Radharani is pleased with something we have done, then Krishna has no choice but to shower mercy. If Srimati Radharani says, please accept this dear child, Krishna will do whatever Srimati Radharani asks. If we ask, Krishna may or may not, based on yatamam prapadyante tam satavya pajamyaham. But if somehow we're able to please Srimati Radharani, and Srimati Radharani asks for us, please accept this child, Krishna will do in a heartbeat. That is why Gaur Mohan De, Sriman Gaur Mohan De, who is the father of Srila Prabhupada, when any sadhu came to his house, what he would ask in blessings,
Devotee of Radharani.
make my son a devotee of Srimati Radharani. I wonder why he did they make give my boy Krishna Prema, love of Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Srila Prabhupada's father prayed because he knew that if he becomes a devotee of Srimati Radharani and pleases her, then he will achieve the topmost favor of Krishna. Going to Krishna directly, we have no qualification. But going through the devotees of Krishna, we have some hope. We know also in the household, going to father is sometimes difficult, but mother is always soft and giving. She's easier to please. Father sometimes is more strict, mother is more loving. So Srimati Radharani is like our eternal mother. So her role in devotional service for us is she is the principal means by which we can learn how to serve and how we have some hope to gain the favor of the Supreme Lord. And that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach. He said, I wanted to be Das, Das and Das and Das. That I want to be the servant of 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 Srimati Radharani. Not that I want to be the pleasure giver to Krishna, but actually the assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the assistant of one who can please Krishna. And this is the mood of pure devotional service. So Srimati Radharani plays this very critical role. And we see, when we call out Krishna and we call out Srimati Radharani, who do we always call out first? Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, Hare Krishna. Hare refers to Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Krishna. It's calling out to the energy of Krishna. So we're calling out, Oh Radhe, Oh Krishna, please give me the privilege, this opportunity for devotional service. So Srimati Radharani is the critical role in our devotional service. And we should understand our dependence on her. And if she bestows her blessings upon us, we have security. Because if she asks Krishna something, it's guaranteed. Because Krishna's love for Srimati Radharani is unending. He is willing to give everything up for her happiness. Anything and everything. There's so many beautiful pastimes where Krishna has shown this mood. So to make Srimati Radharani happy, if she says, please shower love on this child, Krishna will accept in a second. So this is our process. And so what is Srimati Radharani's mood of service? That is something that, when we try to learn, we have to try to follow in the footsteps, the examples. We cannot imitate, but we can take the instructions of her mood of service. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Shikshashtakam prayers gives us in the final verse, the 8th shloka, he is actually speaking about Srimati Radharani's mood of service in that verse. This comes in the final chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. One of the sweetest chapters in all of Chaitanya Charitamrita, particularly this section, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains this verse, where he says, if you make me broken-hearted by not being present before me, or handle me roughly by your embrace, or say far, far away, doesn't matter. You are my unconditional Lord. And so this is very important, unconditional Lord. Many times our service is conditional. Oh, I'll do this service if I can get this specific service to do. Or, I'll do this if I can get that. We put so many conditions. I'll do this service if I'm given this much facilities and this much. But Srimati Radharani's mood of service is truly unconditional. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that her mood is such that she feels in the inner core of her heart. Her love for Krishna is unending. So you can imagine, where does she always want to be? With Krishna. Wherever he is, she wants to be. When she is separated from him for just a few moments, it feels like an eternity. When she's walking through the forest of Vrindavan and she sees, a black tree, she goes and embraces it, thinking it's Krishna. She sees the bamboo growing in the shallow waters and thinks, oh, you're so lucky, your offspring are so lucky that they're being able to be kissed by Krishna when he plays his flute, his bamboo. So like this, she's constantly thinking about him. And she wants nothing but to be with him. But she says, and she feels to Krishna, that if my being far away from you gives you happiness, then I'll stay far, far away. Her mood is so pure in what Krishna wants, not what she wants. Of course, her desire may be to be very close to Krishna, but her ultimate desire is what pleases Krishna. So her mood of service is not, what I want to do, but it is what is most pleasing to Krishna. She goes on to say, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's amazing. She says, if my devastation, my complete destruction gives you happiness, Krishna, then that is my greatest happiness. She's not even thinking about self-preservation. That is the extent of her surrender and love to Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains many other dimensions of her service. It's actually mind-boggling how truly surrendered she is to Krishna's happiness. So what we have to learn from that in ourselves is how we can perform our devotional service with the mood of what will please Krishna. So often in devotional service, we are quote unquote competing for services, or we are, being so, very select. I want to do this, but I won't do that, or something doesn't go quite our way. Oh, I'm not going to do this service anymore. But actually, we should think what it is that I can do to please Krishna, leaving aside all other considerations. That is the mood we can learn when we pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani. It's not easy. Anybody thinks this consciousness is easy? It's not easy. It's very difficult. And what makes it difficult is all the impurities in the heart, right? So who can help us remove those impurities in the heart? Srimati Radharani. Because actually our pure state, our original consciousness is this mood of complete selfless service to Krishna. But what has happened as we have associated with the material world, we have picked up some contamination along the way. Just like, when a child goes out to play, when he comes home, particularly a boy, what does he pick up? All kinds of dirt. And then you have to cleanse both the clothes and the person, right? So like that, we've been playing in this material world, and we've picked up so much contamination. And so it clouds our ability to render service in this selfless way. With the mood of what will please Krishna. So what to do? So it is actually Srimati Radharani through Guru Parampara, where we can actually remove those impurities and pick up and regain that original consciousness. So I wanted to comment about, and Prabhupada gives this, in the purport, this talk about Srimati Radharani's feet. So there were 19 symbols on her feet. And many of them they all have a specific meaning. They're not just random markings on her feet. They're very specific meaning. But most of them, or many of them, they have one central theme. And that is, they purify her devotee. And the point is that by surrendering to the feet of Srimati Radharani, actually will remove the dirt that we've accumulated, the contamination of the heart. We talk about the disc. What is the disc? The disc symbolizes one that will cut all of our attachments to the material world. There's an umbrella. What is the umbrella? It is the umbrella that shelters us from the temptations of the material world. There's a goad. What is the goad? We have an elephant-like mind that wants to run everywhere and everywhere, do everything. But to control the mind, like to control an elephant, you need some. So that goad is symbolic to control our mind when we take to the shelter of Srimati Radharani's feet. There's an altar. On the altar, there's a sacrificial fire. The fire actually to burn all of the anarthas, the impurities that reside within the heart. The fish, our Acharya's comment. The fish, we know when a fish is out of water, what is its mood? A devotee separated from their meditation on the mercy and glories of Srimati Radharani's feet is like a fish without water. And so, so on. There's so many of these symbols. They have this central theme, how they can help the devotee regain their original consciousness. So this is the glories of Srimati Radharani, and how we can learn from the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. so that someday we can become, her servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. And awaken this mood of pure devotional service. And so, if we have some opportunity to please Srimati Radharani, then we have some scope to someday gain the favor of Krishna himself. And so we look forward to celebrating her glorious appearance day on Monday. And know that any mother, what is the only desire for her child? To be happy. It is the strongest and most sincere desire. And when the mother sees a child unhappy, what is the mood of the mother? Actually, Srimati Radharani is saddened to see all of us suffering here in the material world. She is our loving mother. We know Krishna is our supreme father. Aham bija pradaha pita. And Srimati Radharani is our loving mother. And she is anxious to bestow her mercy upon all of us, so that we can stop suffering in this material world and find happiness. And what gives mother most happiness is when they find their own happiness. And so Srimati Radharani is waiting anxiously to give her mercy. In our most beloved Shishi Radha Kunjvihari, she is standing. And what is she doing with her right hand? Giving blessings. All day. Giving blessings. Blessings not that so we can get another promotion in our job, another zero in our bank account, another set of 4 wheels in the driveway, and another few likes on Facebook. No. She's giving us the real blessing. To use the goad to grab our mind, the umbrella to protect us from the temptations, the disc to slash the attachments, to give us the opportunity to purify the heart so that we can render unconditional loving service. So this is what we can pray for. And Srimati Radharani's greatest desire for all of us, take to the process of chanting the holy names of the Lord very nicely and sincerely. Because she knows Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in her mood alone and said, what? Chant, chant, chant. Because it is the most potent process. So if we are finding any difficulty in chanting, this is the most opportune day to fall at the feet of Srimati Radharani and beg her, please give me the taste, the potency, the sincerity to chant your and Krishna's holy names sincerely. And if we pray to Mother that way, what mother would ever refuse to grant such a thing? So this is the day coming up on Monday to pray very hard that we can develop some sincerity in chanting the holy names of the Lord, and from that everything else will manifest. So yes, we'll be busy rendering service and then busy doing so many things. But let us not forget the most important service we can render and the most important thing we can ask from our mother on this day. And because it's her appearance day, she'll be in an especially giving mood. So take all the mercy. Come and bring buckets and buckets with you so you can take it with you. And bring all of your friends and family, anyone, strangers, and bring them to the temple and let them see Srimati Radharani's blessing hand on that day. And we'll make progress assuredly in becoming coming under the shelter of her and ultimately under the loving care of our Supreme Father. Okay? So thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Anantapoti Vaishnava. Any comments or anything to add or discussion on?
How to remember. Like sometimes you forget. How best to remember.
How best to remember?
Sometimes you forget or...
Well, how best to remember is, remember one important thing. Prabhupada established in our calendar basically every day as a festival. But yes, at the surface level, a festival is there to go and enjoy and take prasad and be part of the festivities. But the ultimate purpose of the festival is to understand how is it that this day can help me purify the heart and come to this point of pure devotional service. That should be our mood. So, we celebrate Radharani, but we should understand who is Srimati Radharani and how is, what is my relationship in devotional service and how is it related? When we celebrate Balaram Jayanti, right? How is Lord Balaramji, what is my role? How can I take advantage? And we begin to understand and appreciate all the great personalities. Nityananda's appearance day, right? Govardhan Puja is coming. Every festival, there's a deep meaning behind it. And so we should take some time to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Chaitanya Charitamrita, from our acharyas, and understand before we get fully absorbed into service. We should definitely do service and lots of service. But the more we read, it helps us set the mood for our service. That's the important thing. Because otherwise, we become, we look for the results too much. So this way, remember by reading and discussing and hearing. Srila Prabhupada has given us, all the amazing Vaishnava festivals to celebrate and what their relevance is to us. If you listen to his Radharani lectures, what do you hear? You're not this body or spirit, soul chant. You will not hear any pastime of Srimati Radharani. You're not this body or spirit, soul chant. That is Srila Prabhupada's Radharani lectures. Because that's what we should take from Radharani. That's it. Purify ourselves. Beg our mother to shower mercy. And no, by pleasing her, we're guaranteed to please Krishna. Because anybody she favors, Krishna has no choice. He loves her so much that whatever she wants, it's hers. Of course, again, remember their position. This is not boy, girl. This is not anything. This is one manifested. But it's important that we remember this mood of service. And then our service will actually have real fruit, which is purification of the heart. That is the fruit of our service, purifying the heart. If after doing these festivals and service, our chanting is not improving and getting better, we know there's something off in the formula. Just like if you go to the doctor and you're taking the medicines and you're not getting better, there's something wrong. Something's not right. So what is the measurement of if I'm making progress? Am I chanting better? That's our measuring stick. We do service on these festivals to improve our, we need to improve our chant. All the other service, that is a center core. So that is our thermometer. Any other comments or questions?
The goal of devotional service is to improve our chanting.
Yeah. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said he gave 8 verses in all the things he taught. And what are those 8 verses on? Chanting. His first verse of Shishtakshtakam gives us 7 glories of chanting. It says we are so foolish that unless he gives all the glories of chanting first, we'll not take to the next ideas. But he establishes how it purifies the heart, how it relieves us of all the material suffering, how it is the greatest of all benedictions, but still we want some other benediction, you know. But it is the ultimate benediction. It is the highest achievement one can get, which is to chant the holy names of the Lord. So, we sometimes think, oh, this chanting, yeah, it's there, but there must be, we don't understand its potency. And that is the fifth offense of chanting the holy names. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. To underestimate the value of the holy names. When we hear just chant, that's all we need to do. Somewhere in our heart we think, there must be more. That is doubting the potency of the holy names. That is doubting the potency of the holy names. Remember, Durdaivam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, what is our only misfortune? It is not COVID. It is not lack of stock market. It is not lack of wealth, beauty, fame. None of that is misfortune. Our only and singular misfortune? No taste for the holy names. I am so unfortunate that I know taste, attraction for the holy names. That is our only misfortune. Yet when we go to Krishna, we go to Srimati Radharani, what prayers we submit, what so-called misfortunes we ask them to solve. But we can pray to Srimati Radharani on Monday to help us solve this misfortune. This is our only actual misfortune. Not having ruchi, taste for the holy names. If we solve that, everything else becomes perfect. So, this can be our mode of prayer to Srimati Radharani on Monday. Yes, what do you have a question?
Prabhuji, you answered that.
Oh,
That was my question, what you just answered.
okay. Krishna arranges. Anything else? No. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda. Shri Radhashtami Mahotsav.
Jai. Haribol.